Alrighty, good morning, friends. So this is like a seriously awkward angle, but I just wanted to chat for a second about boundaries. So I'm in the car. I'm getting ready to head inside of Starbucks in just a minute to grab a coffee and a breakfast sandwich. I just dropped Samaya off at work, so it's really early on this Sunday morning. And, I was just sitting here reflecting a little bit and thinking about boundaries and what it means to respect boundaries and what it means to set and establish boundaries with the people in your life and around you, whether it's your children, whether it's a boss, whether it's coworkers, whether it's your extended family or your immediate family, whether it's your partner, whether it's your friendships, right? We should have boundaries with people, and in establishing those boundaries, I think you really find out who respects you and who doesn't, when people are accepting of those boundaries and when people are not. Boundaries have been kind of on the brain this morning. I also feel like it's so funny when you start to establish boundaries and then follow through with them. People always have the tendency to act like, oh, you're changing, or you're being this way or that way. And it's like, no, I'm just respecting myself, and I'm just respecting my own boundaries that I've set, and I would appreciate it if you would respect them too. So anyways, I don't know if anybody else is working on boundaries and, sticking and adhering to the boundaries that you have set for yourself. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you say, it's really important that you don't call before 6 o'clock in the morning because my entire house is sleeping, and if the phone rings, it's going to wake everybody up. Saying that to someone is a boundary. When the person you've said that to continues to call you at 5:30, 5:15, and 5:45, much before 6 o'clock, they are not respecting the boundary, right? And then on top of that, if you keep on answering, you also then are not really upholding and sticking to your own set of boundaries. So I feel like I've been in a place where setting and establishing boundaries has been really important. It's really been high up there on the radar. And oftentimes when you set boundaries, people feel like you're acting weird or being funny or like you've changed, because I'm not going to let certain people say and do or treat me any kind of way. And we're going to jump in and talk about a bunch of stuff. But one thing I did want to just say about it before we do start is, number one, if you've never pulled up your chart or have no idea how to access that, you can go to astro.com, and there's many other places that you can go, but astro.com is the one that I use. It seems to be one of the more popular ones. And you go to the extended chart selection, and then you're going to click on your birth chart and enter your information. One thing that you definitely will need, and that I find brings the most accuracy, of course, is if you have your exact place of birth, so the location, your time of birth, and this is down to the minute, you guys. So I know a lot of times, and I get a lot of people that when I talk about charts and they want me to pull their chart, they're like, oh, I'm not sure what time I was born, or I think I was born at 9:30, but being born at 9:30 and being born at 9:37 are literally two different situations when it comes to exactly the minute and the degrees of where the planets and positions are and all of that stuff within your chart. So you want to have as accurate of a birth time as possible. And even the time on your birth certificate isn't always 100% accurate, as sometimes you might be born and the doctor looks over and says a time. I know personally, in the case of one of my daughters, I can recall the person saying it's 4 to 3 when she was born. and they wrote down 2:43 on the birth certificate when in fact it was 4 minutes to 3 o'clock. So it wasn't 2:43, it was 2:56 or whatever. So those little bit of minutes do really make a difference, especially given how things move. But you can go on astro.com, you can pull that up, and then that will give you the basic birth wheel, in which is what we use to see where each of the planets, which are the little symbols that are inside of the wheel, fall into each of the houses. And so all of this information is used for an astrologer to be able to basically see into your life, so to speak. It is said and believed that anything is seen through the chart. Now, I am in the process of studying that. I'm in the process of doing my own chart. I'm in the process of finding things within my own chart that are accurate, that align with, you know, the planets and things of that nature. But so far, what I've learned is that in the charts that I have been able to pull and look at and, you know, delineate and give notes to people on, so far, even without me being a professional, even without me knowing everything and all the details, have been beyond like mind-blowingly accurate. And so I really appreciate this science for self-knowledge, for self-introspection, for learning and understanding the self. I feel like that's been the biggest thing for me for so many years, is what the fuck is up with me, right? Like, why do I do this? Or why am I like that? Or, you know, I've quite literally always been super sensitive as a person, and like, I'm a big ass crybaby. Like, everything makes me cry. I will literally watch like shows on TV and be like boo-hoo crying at the end. And so it's me, and I accept that sensitivity. However, when I originally found out like years ago that I had a sun in Scorpio, which is a water sign, so it's emotional, but that I had a moon in Cancer, which is a water sign and highly emotional, it was like something clicked, and it was like, oh my God, like that makes so much sense now. And you have no idea, some of the books that I've read and some of the videos that I've seen on YouTube, just sort of giving information and notes regarding some of the placements and positions that I have within my own chart, that I've been like, wow, I get it now. And I've felt seen, and I've felt very heard by simply just that information. And I feel like that's golden. For me, I feel like that is 100% golden, and I'm with it. Like, anything that I can do to share with the collective that's gonna help you, like, y'all know I'm down for it. And this shit right here, it's gonna help you. It's going to help you. And so if you've never ever looked at your birth chart, I definitely encourage you to pull that up so that you can see where your placements are. One of the things that I'm really super excited about is in my Patreon on my V Studio, I've been wanting to do this, and I feel like I'm so I'm even going to go ahead and use the word picky. I feel like I'm so picky about how it's going to look, and if it's going to be like this, and I want everything to be perfect, right? Virgo energy. And I am not a Virgo, by the way, but I have a 6th house stellium, or I have at least 3 of my planets in my 6th house, and the natural ruler of the 6th house is Virgo. The 6th house is a Virgo house. So while I'm not a Virgo, I do carry a lot of Virgo energy as my sun is placed there. So again, even that coming back to me and knowing that is like, oh, Virgo is perfectionist energy, right? And so I've always been that way, and it's been told to me that, oh, you're scared and you're this and you're that when I don't do things, or when I try to make things perfect, or, you know, Addie, nobody's paying attention to those little minor details. You're the only one that sees that. you're damn right I'm the only one that sees that. But it's not, you know, say, well, naturally with all of that Virgo energy, like that's why I see that. And that's why those little details are imperative and important to me. And so literally through your chart, you can find these intricacies and details of your personality. And that's what I like to think of the chart as, in a sense, when you're using it that way for self-knowledge, is this, yes, it's considered a map of your potentials and what can happen and what can unfold in the life. But if we're not digging into anything predictive, and if we're not talking about, you know, what's going to happen to me or things like that, when we simply just look at the fact of the birth chart being a snapshot, a picture of exactly where the planetary bodies were in the sky at the moment you took your first breath and initiation into this physical manifestation. Like that very moment of your in-breath is the imprint of that planetary energy, and that carries with you for your whole life. And yes, we can change, and yes, we grow, and that's what progressions are all about. We'll get into all that much later. But that's what your progress chart is all about, how you're growing and who you're growing into. But for the most part, that energy signature that you're born with, it makes up your personality. It almost makes me feel like that is what personality is, what we call psychology and what we study as the personality and the types, right? Type A, type B, type C, alpha, what we consider different personality traits and characteristics and types, I feel like literally are the birth chart. It's interesting because we talk about love languages, but we also have like our moon, which is our emotional nature, what we need to feel nurtured and to nurture. And then our Venus, which is our love, how we love, what we value, you know, what we find beautiful, and how we give that out and how we want to receive it back. Like those things can be seen through these energies within the chart. And so even with that, it's like if a Venus in Sagittarius is, you know, searching for freedom and wants freedom in their relationships, and, you know, is the type of person that enjoys like, you know, mental stimulation or something like that, then you have to think, well, a Venus in Cancer has a completely different type of way that they love and type of way that they need nurturing back, if that makes sense. So I definitely think that the natal chart is your innate or your inborn personality, your energy signature, your personality signature, and I feel like it would do everyone some good to at least take a look and know, you know, what your chart signature looks like. And I'm here to help because we're going to be breaking down the charts and some charts, and I'm going to be using some of the charts that I have been working on to delineate for you all and share those notes with you. In my Patreon studio, I'm interested in bringing a Venus energy or like a goddess energy I don't really want to call it a class because it won't really be that, but I want to start breaking down and going through each of the Venus signs so that the women that are in there can really start to hone in and tap into their natal love language and their natal energy. And I think that will really help in terms of just like tapping into your divine feminine and into, you know, finding your sensual nature and really into just letting loose. I feel like a lot of times some of us feel like, why am I like this? Or why am I like that? Or why do I keep attracting this to me, right? And it gets really deep, but it also gets really helpful. So I'm gonna go ahead and go inside. I'm gonna grab my coffee. So most definitely I am here encouraging you to pull your chart. If you've already looked at it, or if you have it in front of you, or if you're pulling it right now, even when you're watching this video, let me know what is your Venus sign. What is your Venus signature, your Venus energy? I personally am a Venus in Sag, and more recently I've pulled my progressions and I have progressed to a Venus in Aquarius. So I will, of course, be discussing those Venus energies and those Venus topics, but I'm going to be starting with the sign of Virgo, and I'm going to make a separate video, but I am going to share the keywords for Virgo. So I'll see you guys in just a bit.
Several years of my life, and it just ain't right.
Thanks for hanging.
What's your perception of love?